Hey, so this is going to be a pick a card reading. I haven't done one of these in a minute. I want you to take some time, see what card is resonating with you, what is drawing you. This is number 1, 2, and 3. Take a moment, think about it. There's no rush. This is a timeless reading, so you can always come back and, get a message. I really just put my energy out there to make sure that this is a reading that can resonate with you. You can take a message from it at any given point, whether this is something applicable to your past, your present, or your future. But just take a moment. Again, pile 1, 2, 3. Okay? All right, we're going to start with number 1. So, number 1, we got the 8th house. I got a music note, transformation, difficulty, other people's money, connection, intimacy, debt, inheritance, losses, and rebirth. Group 1, ultimately, this is the energy of change. And a lot of people say they want to change, and we think we want to change, but we really don't understand how much work actually goes into truly making a change. And to truly make a change, you tend to have to transform. That's one of the difficulties out of life. A lot of times you have to change because something is pressing you to do so. There's an external influence. The 8th house rules over things such as sudden events, crisis, things that you kind of inherit. So things that are not necessarily yours, but things that are kind of brought to you by your connections with other people. The 8th house is the 2nd house from the 7th, which means the gains of the 7th house, which what you get from your partnerships with other people, you'll see it in the 8th house. So a lot of their energies regarding losses, this is maybe a time where you feel like you're losing everything. Maybe you're losing your mind, you're losing your sanity, you're losing your stability, you're losing what you've known, what you've loved, your comfort. This is not an easy time. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. Now, this could just be that you have a lot of 8th house energy. You got a lot of Pluto in your chart, a lot of Scorpio in your chart. This could also be, an 8th house perfection year for some of you guys. If you're like, age 31. This could also just be that you have some transits going on, in your 8th house, or just period that you're going through a time where this particular area of life, which is not the most fun, easy, thing. It's not. It's hard to go through this. And, a lot of people glorify the 8th house because they feel like, oh, you get other people money. People give you things easily, but you go through a lot of hell, for your life. You tend to go through a lot of shit, a lot of ups and downs. So the 8th house is not usually all that great. A lot of people with 8th house energy go through a lot more than what meets the eye. They tend to make it look good. They make it look easier than it is. But a lot of people envy 8th house energy because of their resiliency, but it's actually not something that a lot of people would be able to switch places. A lot of people want a destiny swap. A lot of people want, take what you have. And at the end of the day, that's not even, like, they couldn't stand in your shoes, for even 2 minutes. They could never do what you've been able to do. They can never get over the things you've had to get over. They can never face the realities that you have faced or are facing. And so, because you've overcome and because you make things look so good, it's going to be hard for some people to fathom that, you're still standing and that you are still going and you're thriving and you keep getting up and leveling up. And a lot of people will be envious of that. They'll hate that. They'll want to take that from you. And they will never, ever, ever be able to occupy the space that you feel. You've earned that space through blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of tears. A lot of eighth house energy is teary. Eighth house endings, the endings of things and new beginnings. This is a space of intimacy, privacy, things that you share with someone, true, like, core to core human things. That's not very easy to put yourself in, right? Like to open this space up. This is a very intimate part of ourselves and in our lives. And, this is a very vulnerable and tender space for us. And so, this is where you show people some of your secrets, some of the things you hide, some of the things that, is not for the world to see. And so, yeah, the eighth house has things in it like sex and things like that, which is wonderful. But again, it's not a glorified space. A lot of people oversimplify Pluto and Scorpio and, eighth house energy because it's kind of seen from this mystical, sexual, alluring space. And it's actually some of the darkest shit a person can encounter in this lifetime. And those are things that you're seeing and experiencing up close. Some of the darkest things, some of the most wild things, some most taboo things, where things kind of can't faze you anymore. They don't surprise you anymore because you didn't seen it all, But anyway, this particular card for those particular people who felt drawn to this music is going to be a really beautiful space for you. Not just music, but just creative work, outlets, writing, speaking. Singing is good. I'm definitely getting throat chakra energy, opening up, speaking your truth, telling your story, allowing people to be there for you, getting community. I would also particularly say that this is important protection, protecting yourself, protecting your interests, protecting your loved ones, protecting your assets, protecting your wealth, taking precautions to ensure that you are safe and the things that you are building or have built are safe as well. So safeguards would be important here. And, handling your affairs. This is important. You have to tie up some loose ends. This is one of those things where you might be in a messy or have been in a messy situation. You're kind of having to clean it up. So for some of you guys, the guts have already been spilled, for this particular situation. But you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Eighth house is actually a really resilient space, and there is a lot of blessings when you do overcome. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say that it's gonna be all peaches and cream within the next day or two or whatever, but it does tend to get better because you've been through this type of shit before. You've already equipped for overcoming, and you tend to bounce back a lot faster. You recover a lot quicker, and you just gotta keep yourself in a space where you're trusting yourself and you're taking good care of yourself and you're loving yourself and you're doing what's best for you, and utilize a creative outlet. That would really be helpful for you. Anyway, I hope that this message resonated with you and that you understand where I'm coming from. And if you don't understand where I'm coming from just yet, give it some time and come back. You might understand what I'm talking about a little bit later. Okay, talk to you later. Bye. All right. Number 2, group 2. This is for you. 10th house, career. I see the moon here. Business, visibility, fame, recognition, reach, influence. This may just be that, some of you guys are going to be getting some sort of recognition. Maybe you are going to get some success in your career, success in your business. Maybe you might get some visibility and fame. With moon here, you can have a 10th house moon, you can have a Capricorn moon, you can have a moon making an aspect to Saturn, moon making an aspect to the 10th house. So it could be like on an angle or something, or a trine. But the moon in the 10th house, like to me, that looks like doing what you love, doing what you care for, doing what makes you happy, doing the things that give you, like it's like authenticity here, being your true self, and also like basically being like seen for that, ultimately. I would also go as far as to say that, whether you know it or not, especially when you're like in your bag, like this kind of gives the vibe of a zone of genius. Like you're doing what's best for you and you're honoring yourself. And when you like get into this certain space where you are truly operating at your like optimal efficiency, you're truly who you are meant to be, you're in your zone of genius, like you're an unstoppable force. It's magnetizing, it's illuminating, it's exhilarating to see you in your bag. People cannot help but to stop and stare. They cannot help but to wish you well and to encourage you. This is one of those things where you have the ability to be whatever you want to do, or whatever you want to be in this life. If you want to be the boss, you could be the boss. If you want to be the a certain level in the corporate ladder, you could get there. If you want to work for yourself, you can work for yourself. If you want to own a business, you can own a business. If you want to get, in a startup, you could do that. If you want to switch careers, you can do that. You have so many opportunities. And I think that with the moon here, it's important also to make sure that you give yourself some time to see some things through, because you have so many opportunities and the opportunities are so unlimited. And the moon gets a little bit fluctuating and it changes the minds a little, finicky, picky, doesn't necessarily like to stay stagnant. And so it wants to shift and change. And so you may have like this idea of like, well, I'm going to switch from this company to this company because this company's going to pay me more. And I'm going to leave from this place to that place. And I'm going to do this job and that. Like some of you may be trying to do too much. So I definitely would say like slow down on that. I want to grab another card just to see what the ancestors want to say about that. Okay, we got the Sun, spirituality, March, love, chill, love again, romance, ancestors, R&B, spring, summer, magic, sleep, rest, illusions, reality, deception, Delulu, and the number 3. So these two things together are interesting because to me, again, I want you to make sure that when it comes to things like making a move or pivot because you have so many opportunities and you can do what you want to do, that, you are giving yourself an opportunity to see things for what they are, that you're resting on it, you're sleeping on it, that you're not jumping into something. I would even say that maybe some of these things that you're looking to pivot into are going to happen, into the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter next year, or spring, summer, whenever you come across finding this. I do think that with this particular ability of you having heights and visibility and like just having more reach and influence, this will bring about some opportunities for love and romance into your life. I think with the additional visibility, you want to definitely make sure that you are working with your ancestors, that you're grounding yourself, you're getting enough rest, you're doing your spiritual protections, because with the sun energy here as well, the sun energy is very visible, very bright, and it attracts a lot of attention whether you want it to or not, right? So you definitely want to make sure with you being in a more visible space and getting more recognition, more notoriety, more fame, you're just kind of being put in front of more people than you might have known or been used to. A lot more people are going to be seeing you, and you just, not to make you paranoid or to make you feel self-conscious, but you want to take precautions because of the fact that you have to kind of like inadvertently, operate from the space of a role model. Like, you want to make sure that you're making the right decisions, that you're making wise decisions. You're going to be given a lot of visibility and responsibility, whether you ask for it or not, unfortunately. And I do think that with the additional visibility as well, and just kind of you being in your bag, you being so magnetic and people being so drawn to you, that again, this does give you opportunities for like dating, for romance, especially with the 3 energy here, and the 10th house. This feels like socializing. This feels like, an opportunity that's coming to you through some of the, like an opportunity coming to you, and you meeting somebody through these opportunities that you have brought to you. Not to say that you have to have this, okay? I'm not saying you have to have love, but love is on here twice. And so, it's a good chance that you might actually be able to get, your cake and eat it too, coming up pretty soon. Alrighty, that's your reading. I hope that helps you. Bye. Okay, last but not least, we got number 3. Number 3, we got the first house, motorcycle, danger, safety. Swing by. Can we do it again? Say it again. I dare you. On edge, unlikely. Drive in, drive through. Saturn and how? I'm going to get another card just to clarify what the fuck that means. Okay. It says you'll get over it, not today, but one day. Okay. And one more. Okay. Rahu, Taurus, or Sag rising. Stature, big feet or shoes to fill. So this is interesting because this feels like a cycle, especially with Saturn here, a lesson. Seeing things like danger, can we do it again? Say it again, I dare you. On edge, unlikely, or how? Like, that gives the energy of a person who, was like, how the fuck did I end up here? It feels like you might have even had a very like uneasy situation that you were a part of, that you felt like you were kind of in a situation where things could have gone left. They could have gone a little bit dangerous. Swing by, that does feel like maybe there was a lot of proximity with this particular situation or this person. You might have felt like, dang, like this person can come by my space, or they have been by my space. Can we do it again? It seems almost like either you didn't learn your lesson or you're learning your lesson now, and it's them trying to like do this again and you're having to say no. Or it's like you, that's feeding into this stuff. Say it again, I dare you. There's something about that particular thing that kind of concerns me with regards to like healthiness, because this kind of thing here kind of doesn't really feel like the healthiest situation. First house, meaning that there could be some first house synastry. There could be some first house placements here. Some really important first house placements. Really powerful, potent first house placements between you or the person that may be coming up here. This feels like a battle a little bit. Saturn here, this is karma. This is, a lesson learned, a hard lesson at that. This is not particularly a fun thing to go through. Drive in, drive through. That feels low effort. I mean, there is some nostalgia there. There's some beautiful aspects. Because like with the motorcycle and the danger, to me, that feels like there's like something about it where it's like there's something kind of bad. There's something, better, but you're kind of like intrigued. You want to hold on to it anyway. I don't know. There's that. And then, big feet or shoes to fill. I think big feet or shoes to fill can feel intimidating for somebody. They may feel like they are not enough. They could feel inferior. There could be some comparison. There could be a little bit of like, well, damn, like, where do I fit in? Am I worth it? Stature. This could be a person feeling too big or too small. Taurus or Sag risings could feel like a person that's feels uncomfortable in their skin, uncomfortable in who they are. Rahu, there's some greed there. Rahu's a little bit malefic. There's some lower vibrational energy here. This particular person could have either competition with you, competition with someone else, or they're putting you in competition with someone else, and they feel like you've put them in competition with someone else. So there's a level of triangulation here. How I keep getting the energy of how the fuck did we get here? How did I not see this? How did I do this again? How did I let this happen? How? Say it again, I dare you. The more I think about this, it feels a little bit more threatening, a little bit more ominous. It feels a little bit more like it feels a little uncomfortable, confrontational. And it also feels like the vibe switched, because say it again, I dare you, from can we do it again to say it again, I dare you, like that juxtaposition feels switched. Like there's a Jekyll and Hyde. Like there's something really different. There's something really off around that. So again, back to the drive-in, drive-through. Like again, it feels low maintenance, low effort, but nostalgic, right? Like maybe you like that. Maybe you find this endearing. Maybe you feel like, oh, I'm cool, or we're cool just as long as we're just doing things together. Like there's some level of like accepting the minimum, or accepting things that don't serve you. Because again, with the motorcycle, the danger, swing by, dare it again, I say on edge. Maybe somebody is on edge. Maybe they had and especially with this whole card here about big shoes. And then the card that says you'll get over it. Not today, but one day, someday. And that could go either way. That can go for the person who's, comparing themselves, who has this feeling of inadequacy, who doesn't feel like they have enough, like they measure up, they feel inferior. So maybe they themselves will get over this particular area of their life. Maybe they'll get over all this stuff where they're feeling on edge and they're kind of switching and spiraling and going back and forth. First house energy, again, that deals with the appearance, that deals with the self. So some of you are, maybe you are working on yourself. Maybe you're taking care of yourself, or maybe they are working on themselves or taking care of themselves. This could be a place where maybe you are insecure about how you feel or how you look, or the person that is coming up can feel insecure about how they feel and how they look. So this is kind of a thing where, at the end of the day, you Saturn and Rahu together make an Aquarius energy. Aquarius energy is rebellious. It's different. It does want to do better, with technology and supporting people, but Aquarius also has to acknowledge that it's made up of two malefic energies, at the end of the day. Um, and that can make them, there's a level of superiority that can come with the Aquarius energy when you have like this kind of God complex. That's where like the Rahu and Saturn come together. It could feel like, this particular situation, all three of these together, it just feels like there's a lot of healing that needs to happen. There's a lot of old wounds, karmic past, things that feel familiar and therefore maybe seem safe initially until you got up close. Triggers, a lot of triggers here, a lot of things that ultimately should have been left unsaid but were said anyway. A lot of being provoked, a lot of egging things on, a lot of tit for tat, a lot of just things that are not fully helpful, to be quite honest, to experience. I think that you really want to make sure that, you know, you do what you need to do to cleanse yourself of this situation, closing this chapter, ending the cycle, and then the last message. Things will get better. Sinistry and composite. This is a relationship gone bad. This is like a bad relationship. This is an ex situation. More than likely, at least I'm gonna say, for a high likelihood. I also got Slow and Steady, Lisa Leslie Long Lust, Slow Jam, Slow Down, Live Music, R&B, Jazz, Sing, Funk, Style, Ruby, and Sacral. This was sexual. There's a lot of sexual energy, a lot of lustful energy. Again, that danger, that excitement. A little rough, but sensual as well. There's a lot of sensuality. A lot of like music. Maybe the music was kind of a thing that brought you together. Maybe this was something you shared with one another. Pink, my bad, pink. This could be feminine energy, especially Taurus rising and Sag rising. This could feel, for fem, a lot of times Taurus and Sag risings tend to feel a little bit more full than others. There's a level of, a little bit feeling, sometimes you may want to shrink yourself, and you may feel like, it's not something that so I don't know. I just feel like this particular thing here, things will get better, right? You'll get over it, but not today, one day, someday, and things will get better. I think synastry and composite is important. I think maybe before you move forward with people, even if they feel interesting, they feel good, before you go down this road again, you look at the synastry and composite. You get a chance to look at some of the things that the relationship itself is going to try to tell you. You don't necessarily need to, jump into things. I see slow and steady is important. Long, taking things a long route. Sacral. Sacral is important because your deep intuition comes here. A lot of creative space comes here as well. So that's where a lot of sensuality comes, and a lot of creativity is here as well. And I think also like the sacral kind of gets blocked by shame. So you really have to acknowledge these things, right? And acknowledge what you feel ashamed of, what you feel afraid of, what you're insecure about. So that way you can actually continue to be flowing free. When you stop doing that, you start blocking certain things, and then it starts to deplete your other chakras. You start to find yourself becoming imbalanced. So it seems like you both, ultimately will recover. And it seems like maybe you both, showed each other areas where you need to improve on, where you need to heal on. I won't say that anyone is 100% right or wrong. However, I will say that there is definitely someone who is a lot more unhinged and or unhealed than the other. And that particular person has a lot of insecurities, and they feel inadequate, and they feel like they're never going to feel happy or satisfied with it. And as a result, they caused a lot of imbalance in the connection, and they were not putting forth as much effort because they felt less than. They are a little unhinged, back and forth on edge, changing their mind, going a little bit like switching things up. And this particular thing is a little triggering, and it has caused you to feel like you'll eventually get over it. You're not over it yet, but and that things will obviously get better. That's like a message to you, and just like a reminder to utilize your synastry and composite chart. So anyway, I hope that this helps you, and that at the end of the day, the day gonna end. I'm just playing, but for real though, it happens. Relationships are hard. It's not, easy to have a relationship with somebody who's not, fully confident in themselves, don't have enough love for themselves. You really, honestly, you can't take on that burden. And at the end of the day, like, sometimes these people, Spirit said, maybe you should rethink that decision. Maybe this is about, before you get into that relationship, look at that synastry and composite. Before you go down that road again, just because it seems cool, it seems familiar, like you want to get into it again. Gemini, that's thinking, weighing out things. Mercury, right? Using your mind, thinking about things. Use a little logic. Talk it out. See with somebody else. See somebody else what they think. So, ultimately, I definitely would say that, yeah. And then the last thing for y'all, we got heart. This was the bottom of the deck. Heart, nighttime, silky, rest routine, shapely, stop while you're ahead, sultry, shut down, seduction, slumber party. This feels like, at the end of the day, you got to come back to you. You got to take care of yourself. You got to rest. You got to make sure you get back into your bag. You kind of come back to yourself, to your center. Cleanse your heart space. Because one thing I've seen, especially like if you are the person that's on the receiving end of a bad relationship, sometimes you can feel a little bit closed off. Like you don't want to open up no more. You don't want to trust nobody no more. You opened yourself up, you got hurt. Why the fuck do you want to go through that again? And at the end of the day, this is to make sure that you know that love is going to come. Love is going to come again. Love is going to come again. Heart and Gemini, this could have Gemini placements, Gemini moon, Gemini Venus, Gemini rising, Gemini 5th house, Gemini 8th house. But even if you don't have Gemini in these particular places, or you don't have Gemini placements at all, just take a little bit of time to understand that, like, operating from a Gemini space where, like, you're learning, right? You're having an experience, and, you ultimately kind of move on, right? Because there's something else to learn. There's something else to experience. And it's not to say that, our relationships are not important, or the connections that we have are not important, but it is to say that at the end of, like, you can't let this stop you from having the joy you're supposed to have, for getting back to yourself, to, like I said, stop while you're ahead. You got a chance to end things in your life and try to come to a space where you can come back to yourself before you were completely so far gone. You were able to stop. You're able to bounce back. You're in a position where you can bounce back. It's not too late. And you can overcome that. And, think about things a little bit more. 2-3 times, get some advice on it, and be willing to, take the good and the bad. Sometimes love hurts, and that's okay, but that doesn't mean that you should stop loving altogether. Someone will love you. Somebody will be there for you, and it will be a good relationship, eventually. You just gotta understand that this wasn't your person. And there's something about them that you felt connected to. And, you know, at the end of the day, we got to still heal from some of these things. But, you know, it's not your fault that it happened. It's just life. Things don't always work out. And that's all right. What I encourage you to do, like I said, is to just cleanse your heart space, come back and start grounding yourself again. Cleanse your heart space, cleanse your sacral. So cleanse your womb, cleanse your spiritual space, you know, cleanse your heart, open yourself back up, and, you know, release, make something, create something. Don't let it live inside of you. So that way you can move on and you can be ready for what's supposed to be yours, because I saw that things will get better. Anyway, I wish you the best. I hope that this makes you, makes sense for you, and that you have gotten what you need out of this reading. Anyway, I hope that you let me know what you think. Thank you. Bye.